everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode number 160. Now, unfortunately, we don't have Rachel Guy because she's off sunning herself in Vegas and Australia, and I'm sat here in rainy England in my office doing the podcast. But it doesn't matter because I love you all, think you're awesome, and it doesn't matter what the weather is, we get things done in the UK. And I'm mega pumped today because I've just been filming for the BBC. You will see it in a couple of weeks' time. Really, really exciting. I'm so pumped to do it. Obviously, that's a big kind of dream of mine. You know, I've talked about Jamie Oliver in the past and things like that. Well, hopefully this might be a little step in the door. Who knows? It's quite a cool little thing. But today, I'll stop talking about myself because you don't care. You want to hear about someone else. I have got someone on the show. Now, I met this guy at SFN Expo in Scotland earlier on in the year. Fantastic guy. I got introduced by a mutual contact. His name was Suki. He has an amazing story. He went through, kind of a battle through kind of like pro sport and, living a bit of a hard and fast lifestyle and some kind of adrenal issues. And I've talked to you quite a lot in the past about my adrenals, my health stages, how I've tried to kind of rehab things and get my body into a more healthy, more stable place. So I want to share this guy's story because it's very on par with mine in a way, although not quite extreme, and we like good stories. Ollie Pryce, hello, how are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Mate, thank you very much for joining me on the show. I appreciate you being on the show because this man, as we just sat talking, was saying, sorry, Ben, I've been really busy getting my product into Selfridges and, all these amazing stores in London. So, mate, respect. You're busy and what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, it's been a busy time. We just launched our sports tea range. So I own a company called Savour Tea. We do functional herbal tea blends. The brand's aimed more towards the male market and towards men with active lifestyles, sporting lifestyles. And each tea has a specific function on the body. So we've got ones to naturally energize, hydrate, help with sleep, and stimulate the metabolism. And yeah, like I say, we just launched in Selfridges. We're about to go online with Holland & Barrett. We're in Equinox Gym and places like that. So it's after a 2.5 year journey, recovering my health and setting up a small business, and it's now sort of starting to grow into the momentum's there, and it's growing into a larger business, and I'm having to think about people coming in to help me, and I'm busy, man. I'm having to watch my adrenal glands, make sure I don't get too stressed, which I know you know all about. So. But yeah, no, it's good times.
Right, mate. Let's get stuck into this. We'll talk more about the kind of saviour stuff because I think that's interesting. So firstly, I wanna share your story. Like right from the bottom line. I know you've got a background in sport. You've got a background in rugby. We were previously talking about mutual contact. James Haskell is a friend of mine. You've met him a couple of times because you used to live with Danny Cipriani. Little name drop for you there. Tell me what happened and why it's led to where you are today. Let's run us through the story.
So around sort of 2012, I became ill with a condition called adrenal fatigue. I'm sure a lot of your listeners know about this, but your adrenal glands basically sit on your kidneys. There's one on each kidney, and they're responsible for the secretion of stress hormones. And mine just completely depleted. I got something called adrenal burnout. And I basically had no energy. I had the energy of like an 80-year-old man, basically, at the age of 24. So my lifestyle at that time consisted of, I was playing semi-professional rugby at the time. I was running a nightclub, and it was interesting because I was kind of this, I guess, happy-go-lucky guy, and everything, my whole life, my whole identity. Everything just kind of collapsed because I got this illness, and I had this kind of dream to play professional rugby. I was playing semi-professionally at the time, and I put a lot of energy and time and effort into that. And I was running a nightclub in Chelsea at the same time, which was involving heavy alcohol consumption, a lot of entertaining, a lack of sleep. So it was kind of I had to do that to make some money because the semi-professional lifestyle wasn't really paying enough, and it was. I had to do that, and I guess the two lifestyles kind of contradicted each other. And yeah, basically, I fell ill with this condition called adrenal fatigue, where my adrenal glands were just overstressed. The adrenal glands are only designed to deal with so much stress. Back in our primal days when we would have been out hunting for food, and you turn around and see a tiger or something, your fight or flight response would have kicked in, and you would have either run or fought the tiger, which you probably wouldn't have won, but won that battle. But yeah, it was that's what they were kind of designed for. And in this Western civilization, in the Western world, we tend to overstress our adrenals now with too much stress. We stimulants, pollution, toxic food that's been overprocessed, dairy, wheat, which causes inflammation in the body. And I guess my whole lifestyle consisted of poor nutrition, supplements that were, pre-workout supplements that were overstimulating my adrenals, the post-workout supplements, which were obviously based on whey protein and dairy, which were overstimulating my adrenals, inflammation in the body. And all of these things just had a huge impact on my lifestyle. And one day I kind of woke up and I was in hospital. I'd blacked out. I was just overstressed, overworked. I'd had a lot of injuries from playing rugby, so I tore my sternoclavicular joint in my collarbone, which was that was a major injury in this one season. I'd had that injury. I'd been smashed in the mouth, and I had to have root canal on two of my teeth, so both the nerves were completely destroyed. I got septicemia twice. So I'd had all these sort of antibiotics which were causing inflammation in my body as well, and putting toxins into the body. All of these things overstimulate the adrenals. That on top of alcohol consumption, through running the nightclub, and in general, toxic people as well. I was around a lot of people and living a lifestyle that wasn't really me. And the nutritional deficiencies as well. I was just, although I knew a lot about health from being in the sporting world, at times I just didn't have the time to eat well because of the lifestyle I was living. So all of these issues put huge stress on my adrenal glands, and I just burnt out. And one day I woke up in hospital, and I was forced to make a change. I initially went to the doctors and through the Western medicine route, and all I was offered was beta blockers to slow my heart rate down. I was getting very depressed because it was difficult. I couldn't play rugby anymore. I couldn't lift weights. I couldn't work. I'd lost my job in the nightclub, and all of these things had happened. And so I was offered antidepressants. I was having thyroid issues because the adrenal glands are connected to the thyroid, and the thyroid's connected to the pituitary gland, through the endocrine system. Mm-hmm. And my thyroid gland was having to compensate for my low-level adrenals. Mm-hmm. So my immune system wasn't functioning well, and I had all sorts of thyroid issues as well. So I've been offered all of these kind of Western medications, and I kind of said, you know what, like I've relied on supplements to fuel me. I've relied on alcohol to stimulate me. I've relied on all of these things for so long to tell me how to feel and how to tell my body how to behave. I decided that I'm going to listen to my body for once. I'm not going to take any sort of these drugs and medications. I'm going to turn to a natural route, and that started me on the journey with health. When I say health, I mean real internal journey, real nutritional balancing, looking at the type of people I surrounded myself with, because that can be very toxic to you and the adrenal glands, and looking at the environment I was living in, pollution, even the type of water I was drinking, because a lot of tap water contains fluoride and chlorine and these things, which all have an impact on your adrenal glands. So it forced me to go into a real internal journey with my health, and that was the start of it. That kind of really got me going.
So when you were lying there in the hospital bed, did the kind of medical side of the industry not sit down and sort of say, do you know what, it's evident you're living a lifestyle that's it's not kind of normal. You were doing more than most people are. Perhaps you should just cut back on it. Did they not look at the lifestyle side of what you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, the problem I have, I don't want to sit here and badmouth Western medicine because it has its place. But the downside to it was a lot of doctors. There's guys out there. I focus particularly on men when I talk because we as men can be quite egotistical, and you can be sat there with another guy over a pint or whatever it is, and you're not really going to talk about your problems. If one guy's sitting there having a conversation with you, telling you about how amazing his career is and his girlfriend, the other guy's not going to sit there if he's having problems and talk about them. Whereas women will sit down and they will discuss problems and issues, and that's why they resolve a lot of things quickly. Whereas, that's something we struggle with. So that's why I sort of focus on men more when I speak about this. And yeah, I mean, for the first time, I guess, with these doctors, I was having to disclose a lot of information, personal information, symptoms I was having. I didn't really want to tell anyone I was depressed, but I was like fully, depressed because of all the chemical imbalances in my body caused by the adrenal fatigue, the adrenal burnout. And yeah, for the first time, I had to sit down and kind of disclose all this information to a doctor. And I just felt like I got brushed off, like it was a big thing for me to sit there and tell someone I had depression. And, I'd lost my girlfriend at the time. A lot of my, I guess, friends at the time seemed to just sort of disappear when I got ill. And I lost my dream of playing, a high level of sport, and all these things had happened. And I had to sit down and disclose this information. I just felt like they were just kind of saying to me, well, here's some antidepressants, here's some beta blockers to slow your heart rate down. That was one of the worst symptoms of the adrenal fatigue, by the way, was waking up at 3 a.m. with a heart rate like I'd just gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, Wow. It was like I'd wake up and I'd be exhausted from the fatigue, and I'd wake up and my heart was just beating out of my chest, and I just had to go and run around the block just to get it to calm down, and then I'll be full of endorphins, so I'll be buzzing, and then I couldn't sleep even more, and then I'd wake up in the morning, and cortisol is another hormone that your adrenal glands secrete, and my cortisol levels were so low, and I had like hypoglycemia, so my blood sugar levels were low, and there were so many symptoms to it, but I just felt like I'd been brushed off by Western medicine. They were like, here's some pills. You're going to be on these for the rest of your life. Good luck, kind of thing. And I just thought that wasn't good enough, So that was what saw me to kind of research this and started my journey with health and nutritional balancing.
Sure. Now, I know that, a lot of people that work in the NHS care. That's why they're in the NHS. Like, they got into healthcare because of that. My girlfriend's in the NHS, and she often complains that she doesn't have the time that she wants to spend with the patients to make the difference. So, I mean, do you think that was the case, that you saw the people around you that were meant to be caring for you just simply didn't have that time to sit down and look at your lifestyle and how to intervene on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're all, at the end of the day, as human beings, I don't care how evil someone is or whether, we've all got an innate good side to us, and every single person, when faced with a situation where they can help someone who really needs it, or we all care. And I know these guys are sitting down and they were caring about my situation, but and to a certain degree, it wasn't their problem, and I'm glad they were the way they were, because it forced me to go on this journey. And the adrenal fatigue forced me to have this real kind of, I guess, victim mentality, where I was like, it's everyone else's fault that I'm like this, and I'm sick because so and so did this or so and so did this, and it was good, it was good. It forced me to look elsewhere, and it's not down to them. At the end of the day, your health is your responsibility. So I put myself there. And the NHS people, or the doctors, they're doing the job the best they can. They only have a certain amount of time to sit with people, and all sorts of red tape around their caring requirements. And I don't blame them. It's nothing to do with them. It was to do with me. I put myself there, and that was a real moment of empowerment when on my journey I took responsibility for myself and my health and said, you know what, like it's no one's fault, it's my fault I'm here. But that empowered me to make the change and say, if I can put myself here, I can also make the change. And habitually every day I made small changes to the point where I'm sitting here in front of you 2.5 years time with a business that's starting to become successful, and I'm strong again, and I'm able to I compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and do all sorts of things like that now. So I've changed my lifestyle. But going back to your point, it's not their fault. At the end of the day, it's your fault if you've put yourself in a bad situation through lifestyle choices and negative lifestyle choices. It's your responsibility to then take control of yourself and your emotions and go on the journey to recovering your health. I think that's an important point. Is you can really become empowered by these health issues. So
I think the best people that I know in our industry of people that have had their own journey, and I know that I talked about our mutual friend Suki. He's had his own health journey, which is connected to you. You've had your own health journey. I've had my own health journey, and the people that I know that are genuine in this industry have had a bit of a battle, and the people that don't have that kind of genuine care for the people that people that have just been able to get in shape, and it was quite easy for them to get abs, and they've been interested in sport, and they found it quite easy to build muscle and stuff. I'm like, they don't know about people's struggles. Like, I innately know about people's struggles because I've had my own, and you're the same. Like you can sympathise with literally anyone's scenario because you've been in a dark place.
Yeah, 100%. You're so right, and it is. It's made me a very empathetic person. I can sit down with anyone now and hear their struggle, and I really feel for them because, like you say, I've been in that dark place and I've had to pull myself out of it. And it took 2.5 years to recover through nutritional balancing and changing ways of thinking and I had to deal with a very, very heavy depression. And in my family, there's actually like a genetic link to depression. So my uncle and my mum's dad both committed suicide. So my family were very scared for what was happening to me, and that actually meant I had to move away from them. So I moved to Manchester, like we said earlier. I went to live with a mutual friend, Danny Cipriani, who we discussed, and the guy was great. He took me in at a time when I was really sick. I didn't really have any money. I was broke. I had a business idea, and which all revolved around the tea and revolved around my adrenal fatigue, because that's what led me to the tea and to herbal medicine and things like that. But yeah, the guy kind of took me in for a year, and I had a bedroom there. And when I was recovering from adrenal fatigue, the first few weeks, just getting out of bed and taking a shower was a win for me. It was like I was so exhausted, my body was so depleted of so nutritionally deficient in things like all the vitamins, all of the metals you need, everything. It was just completely deficient, it was a really difficult journey. But yeah, you come through it, and you have an empathy with people now, which is, whereas before I ate food because I wanted to look a certain way, so I didn't really listen to my body and its nutritional needs. I ate, chicken breast, rice and broccoli because I wanted to have abs, or I wanted to be big and strong, and I wanted to look like a rugby player or whatever it was, But once I went through this journey, I looked at food completely differently. Food was my life force. Food was my energy. It was my medicine. It was going to heal my adrenal glands and help me to get back to the full strength that I need to be at. So, yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about the process. You're lying in hospital. It's time to be discharged. You then made a decision that, you now need to look at health. You need to look at lifestyle. Where did you go to get the information? Like, where did you go for that empowerment? And what changes did you really focus on? Like, talk to me about, like, let's say the 3 or 4 key blocks or things that you had to say, I've got to get this right to ensure that my rehab is successful.
Yeah. So So I mean, the first resource, we're very lucky in this modern world, in the fact that we've got the internet. You know, we're all very lucky in that we have access to so much information, there's so much there that we can access instantly that people haven't had. You know, in the past, people haven't had this access there to be able to buy people before, or you know, it's instantly available now. So the first port of call was the internet, and this actually can cause a slight problem because I was very anxious at the time because of my adrenal instability. I was very anxious. I didn't have much energy. I was very low. So going on the internet and looking up health issues can cause health anxiety. You know, you can start looking at all sorts of symptoms, and before you know it, you've diagnosed yourself with cancer and all sorts. So, you know, you have to be careful when you do start researching health and recovery on the internet. You have to check your sources, but I found, for example, there's a great doctor out there called Dr. Lawrence Wilson, who's written a book on adrenal fatigue. I think it's called Adrenal Fatigue in the 21st Century, something like that. But it's a really, really great resource. And that was my first port of call. I got this guy's book and I read through it, and you know, looking at all the symptoms, chronic fatigue, sleep deprivation, hyperglycemia, poor circulation, depression, you know, all of these symptoms were what, you know, I had these symptoms. So it was first of all checking that this was definitely what I had. And then I had other symptoms from my thyroid was overactive because it was compensating, and then all the chemical imbalances as well. So I mean, as you can see, this condition, which comes from two tiny glands on your kidneys, it can wreak havoc with your life. If those glands aren't functioning at the appropriate output, you know, your whole body, they secrete all of these hormones. They're responsible for testosterone, estrogen. Your whole body can literally go into meltdown, and it's a domino effect, you know. So if you're not producing those hormones properly, each one of your organs is affected. My kidneys weren't processing toxins properly, so that and the same with my liver. So my digestive system took over, and you know, I had digestive issues, and your body's trying to get rid of all of this waste and these toxins because your organs can no longer do it because your adrenal glands aren't functioning properly. So that caused inflammation in my body, and my gut and things like that. So I had to heal so many different components. I had to heal my digestive system. I had to heal my kidneys. I had to heal my liver. I had to heal my thyroid glands. Your pituitary gland was, you know, all that wasn't firing properly. That's your main control center in your brain. So there was all of these issues. And first of all, I think the most important part of the journey was knowledge, taking on new knowledge. So learning about this condition, you know, in every way I could. And as I say, the best book was Dr. Wilson's book on adrenal fatigue. That was absolutely amazing. Anyone who's struggling right now with or feels like they have any of these symptoms that I'm discussing, feels like, you know, you're waking up in the morning, you don't have the energy to get out of bed, because it's a funny condition as well, because you can still function, you're still alive, and most people kind of, you know, if you say to someone you're cancer, they're instantly thinking, oh, you know, there's physical symptoms to that, and they feel sorry for you. Whereas most people, if you say to someone, I've got adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout, they feel like, oh no, you'll be fine. In the same way as kind of, it's not really recognized in Western medicine yet properly. That's why a lot of the doctors sort of brushed it off. It's not their fault. They just maybe haven't recognized this properly as a condition. And your family would do that. You know, a lot of people in your family, I'm sure you're saying to them, oh, I feel depressed, and I feel, you know, I just don't feel like me, because that's what it is. You just don't feel like yourself, and people will brush this off. So you have to take on new knowledge. You have to really look into a subject that there isn't much information on. There's much more now, 2.5 years on from when I started my journey, but that was a great book to start with. So I guess the first kind of block was, as you mentioned earlier, it was kind of was knowledge, taking on new knowledge, learning about this subject, making sure I had all the facts, and that then led to nutritional balancing. So, as I said, you know, before, I'd always looked at food like a lot of us do to give me the body type I wanted. You know, I wanted to be, you know, muscular and ripped, or whatever it is people were looking for, and my whole like vision towards food changed. I realized that food was medicine. Food was going to heal my organs. Even like different color foods work with different organs, and even, to go deep onto it, your chakras and things like that. So, purifying your blood with things like beetroot, and purifying your kidneys, and detoxes with lemon juice and cayenne pepper, and then that also led me into looking at different herbs as well. So that was what put me on my journey with tea. So, for example, ginseng is an adaptogenic herb. It works with your adrenal glands to help you adapt to physical and mental stress. My adrenals were burnt out, so I couldn't adapt to stress. So I started to find different supplements, ginseng supplements, all of these things, and make my own teas. So I had all these different blends of teas that I made with different supplements, and that led me to tea. I was like, oh wow, then I need to go and.
So at that point, did you visit a Chinese doctor or a Chinese herbalist? Because I know when I went to China, you'll go in and they'll literally make like the teas in front of you of all these herbs like you're describing.
Actually, when I was a kid, I had a thyroid issue. I had a small lump on my thyroid, and my mum took me to a Chinese herbalist, and I sorted it that way. So I had done that before, but I decided that I wanted to create my own tea blends out of these different herbs, and I looked into all the health benefits of tea, because whereas before I'd use coffee and the pre-workout supplements and all these kind of things to help me train, or give me the fuel to train, or fuel my lifestyle, stimulate my lifestyle. Now it was like, okay, my adrenal glands can't take on coffee. They can't deal with that caffeine overload. They're stressed out. I can't do that to them, kind of thing. So I can't take pre-workout supplements. I can't overstimulate myself. So, for example, the yerba mate or green mate tea we have in our energized blend it has a matine compound in it, which works a lot like caffeine, but you don't get that overstimulation, so you don't get the crash. A lot of people that drink a lot of coffee, they're addicted to the roller coaster ride of being stimulated and then crashing and then drinking one again to bring their stimulation up and then crashing again. Whereas this, the yerba mate, the green mate, it just kind of it made you feel more focused, more awake, and it didn't overstimulate me. So I kind of combined that with some ginseng and some ginkgo to open up my blood circulation, because I had poor blood circulation because of the adrenal fatigue. And then I also looked into like rooibos tea, for example, which was like a caffeine-free blend that grows in South Africa. It's a red bush plant, and that was naturally caffeine-free. So if I wanted just an everyday drink to hydrate me, I would drink that. So I mean, I don't want to go too much into the tea at the moment, but that was what I started to research all of this, and then I approached a medicinist who was the head of the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and I had a couple of meetings with him. He luckily was doing some seminars in Manchester, where I was living at the time. I sat down with him and told him my idea, and I didn't want to put something out there that wasn't that wasn't going to work and it wasn't going to help people. This was helping me, and then I wanted to build a business around this that was going to help other people, so they didn't have to go through what I was going through. I wanted to teach people that you can't overstimulate your adrenals. Try to cut down the coffee and the energy drinks, and look to nutritionally balance your diet. So that was kind of what I was looking to do. So I wanted to get the right knowledge, and I went and met this medicinist, and we had a few meetings, made sure I was on the right path. And then I started to approach tea suppliers, and, I went through some bad eggs, some guys that, initially I made some tea blends with a guy, and he all of a sudden decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And kind of I'd invested a lot of energy and time for months, creating these tea blends that I was using myself, and then I wanted to create a business around. And he all of a sudden decided he just didn't want to be involved, and I don't still to this day know the reason for that. He just cut contact, but that was actually a blessing in disguise, because it led me to a new supplier who's absolutely amazing and they completely sympathise with my journey, and they had, I think, 25 years of experience in tea and the health benefits of it. Then that was kind of where I got into these tea blends and using herbs like ginseng, for example, to work with my adrenal glands and support my recovery. So that led to that part. But it's important to say as well, these herbs that I was using and the tea, they were just part of a bigger picture. So the nutritional balancing was the most important part. The most important part of the healthy lifestyle was looking to food as medicine to heal my body. And then I guess, well, another part of it was cutting out toxic people. Most people don't mean it, but subconsciously they will drain you. But it's like I said earlier, I truly believe after this journey that innately all of us are good. No matter how many mistakes we make, we're all good people, and so I don't blame anyone for anything. But it's there comes to a point where sometimes you have to cut people out that are draining you in certain ways, and I had to do that. So it's kind of like, when you go through your phone and delete your old numbers or whatever, that was kind of what I had to do. I had to delete a lot of negative people from my life and really focus on myself, and healing my body, which was it was a very tough journey. And the first year was definitely the most difficult. I spent a lot of time in bed, dealing with the chemical imbalances, and depression was very hard, bringing myself out of that dark place.
I think what's really nice is that you've given a really clear indication now of the kind of timeline that you had to dedicate towards your rehab, because one of the things that I've talked a lot about to individuals, and I have to do this as a coach because I do a lot of kind of speaking and trying to educate personal trainers and all sorts, is that the hardest thing with change is that, I'm not saying that there's people listening to this in the severity of the situation you're in, but I would say there's, people, whether they're listening or people that know people that are listening, they might be kind of 40, 50, 60, 70% close to where you are. And they don't realise, and they're not willing to make the yards to say, right, I need really to change, and it's going to take a year. It's going to take a year, maybe 18 months to actually get my body back to its health. And we've talked about hormones, and I'm not going to get stuck into hormonal balance and fatigue and all sorts. Hormones we take, you took 25 years to fuck up your hormones. They're not going to sort themselves out in 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks and have a couple of supplements. Like, we've got to rewire, re-nourish that whole pathway. We've got to build up the nutritional status. We've got to build up our central nervous system again, all this stuff. So for you to actually talk about timescales is a godsend, because I'm forever saying to people, if you start this journey, be willing to be on it for the next year.
Yeah, totally agree. You have to be patient. And actually, an amazing tool that I found to help me with that is, in the first few months, I couldn't exercise because I couldn't overstimulate my adrenals. They had to have some rest time, which is very difficult for me because I've gone from training, 4 or 5 times a week to absolutely nothing, and just relying on my diet to kind of, at that time, sustain me and making sure I was eating well and clean so I didn't put on too much fat and that sort of stuff. So, but when I could eventually come back to exercise, I still needed, as men, we kind of, it's not good to suppress a lot of our anger, and that we need to be out there doing physical things, and that's why a lot of people, play rugby. You get that kind of physical rush from doing that, and I needed a physical sport still. I think that's wired into us as men. We need that release. If we don't get it, we get sick, we get stressed. So at this time in my life, I found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is like a grappling art. If people don't know it, it's very big in like the UFC now and MMA. But if you go in there as a fighter, you can't not be good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's got a takedown type part to it, and then it's kind of submission. You're trying to get a submission on the floor, so you're grappling to get submission, whether that be a choke or an arm bar or a triangle, whatever it is. So I started this journey with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu around sort of my recovery time. And you start as a white belt. You start as like, in the very beginning, you don't know anything. You're getting beaten up by, the higher level belts continuously over and over again. And to become a black belt in this sport, you need to do it for like 10 years, at least. And you start as this white belt, and that kind of had kind of ran parallel to my journey with my recovery. And as I grew in jiu-jitsu, as I got better at jiu-jitsu, I was also recovering each day, getting 1% better each day with my recovery, and my health was getting better. And it could, as I say, they kind of ran parallel with each other to the point now where, you know, I'm very comfortable with my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and also at the same time I'm a lot stronger in my life, and my adrenals are fully functioning again. And you have to have real patience with that journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a very it's almost like a very kind of spiritual martial art, but it's very physical at the same time. But that was, you know, to go back to your point, and the fact that yes, you have to be patient. You have to be patient in everything in life, even if it's starting a business. You know, you're not just going to come up with an idea, set up a social media profile, and make money overnight. You know, the journey I've been on with my business has been 2.5 years, and I've just started to get into some major retailers. You know, there's still so much to be done. But everything takes time, and there's actually a great enjoyment in that journey. When you actually stop to live in the moment, you become very grateful for things. I'm very, very grateful for at the time, obviously it felt horrible, but I'm very grateful for my health experience. I'm very grateful to have lost my health and to have been forced to look inside myself for the first time and get rid of any ego or anything. I just had to, look inside myself and really figure out who I was, you know. And that's you know, anyone who's going through this, anyone who feels any sort of fatigue or is worried about their health or anything, you know, you are strong enough to get through this. You just have to give it time. And I think that's the most important thing as well, is sometimes there's not the encouragement out there from people, but we're all strong enough. We're all capable. If you just believe in yourself and give it time, you will recover from anything. Your body is self-healing. It's designed to heal. Just in the same way as, you know, you get a cut on the outside of your body and you can watch it heal, that can happen inside your body as well. If you just give it the right rest, the right nutritional requirements, you know, the right amount of exercise. A lot of people over-exercise and exercise, you know, vigorously, and that causes adrenal stress as well. So it's just listen to your body, and you literally can recover from anything, you know.
Yeah, I think until the kind of top-level media that we're exposed to every day start to change their tune, and, you know, whether this will ever happen, I don't know, it probably won't. But, you know, the general public are sold the quick fix every day, and you know, trainers talk about this stuff all the time. It's probably the most popular subject a PT wants to talk to me about is you know, the quick fix scenario. And you know, even if we try and find middle ground between what we're trying to get someone to do and what the media is trying to get someone to do, is still too short. You know, everyone's still searching for that solution, and it's natural for the human brain to want a quick win, to look for a better scenario. It's just natural. But, you know, if we can understand how precious time is and how long things take, I think most people will achieve everything that they ever want to achieve on a health level, a career level, a lifestyle level, a family, a spiritual level, as long as you're willing to give it time.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I totally agree. We are capable of anything. I mean, when I first started this journey, I didn't know anything about herbal tea and, you know, my business, and I didn't know anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I didn't know anything about health. And now, over time, by winning each day, every day I go to sleep and I put my head on the pillow and I can be at peace with myself, because I know that day I have got better physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I have, you know, when I say spiritual, I don't mean in a religious sense, but I just mean from a conscious perspective. And I live my life very consciously. I'm conscious of my implications on people around me. I'm conscious that, you know, I make sure there's always positive people around me, and at the same time I'm impacting them in a positive way. My business and the message that I put out into the world has to be positive. I have to believe in it, and I do. And you know, I'm not just in business to make money. My brand is about educating men on the importance of making conscious decisions for their health. I never ever want to see another man or woman, but I mean, as I say, men. I've aimed this more at men because we talk less, and I feel like I need to be out there spreading this message. But yeah, I mean, I want them to make more conscious decisions with their health, and be slightly less egotistical towards it, and just talk to each other, you know, because we're all struggling. We've all got problems in life. We're all going through things. And if we just talked and communicated a little more, we'd understand that there are people out there that can help us. And I think even if one person, by listening to this podcast, talks to someone and tells someone how much they're struggling, and that impacts their life in a more positive way, then I'm happy. So my business and my brand is about pushing this message, and I say I only put products out there that I would use myself. And going back to your earlier point, though, it is, we do have to be patient, and we do have to put the energy and time in, and you do have to get 1% better every day. And habitually, over time, you create that habit and you don't break it, and the momentum will build, and eventually you'll be sitting somewhere in 2 years' time, and you won't even remember your former self. You'll be this new person. You'll be in tune with yourself, and if you put energy into a business for 2 years, you will have something there to build on. You would have laid those foundations, as me and you discussed in our conversation earlier. Or if it's your bodybuilding, or becoming a rugby player, or whatever it is, if you put the time in, and you're gonna go through ups and downs with it. That's part of the journey. But if you put that time and energy into it, and you believe in yourself, because that's I feel like we're, especially in an English culture, it's very much, sometimes can be quite a negative culture, and I feel like we need to believe in ourselves more and each other, and really push each other in a positive way. Don't put each other down. Even for example, the Rugby World Cup that's just happened. There's sometimes so much negativity coming from us in the media, as you discuss, and things like that. And we just need to push each other in a positive way, and be conscious of our, be awake, be aware of our surroundings, be aware of what we put into our bodies, be aware of how we treat each other, all of these things. And if you do all this stuff, you will have a much richer life. You will be much more in tune with yourself and at peace with yourself. And like I say, every night I put my head on the pillow, and I now sleep like a baby, because I'm at peace with myself. And that's what I want for everyone, So,
mate, that's awesome. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, to listen to your journey, to kind of unravel this kind of side of health and fitness, because for me it means more than the kind of training, nutrition side of things, in terms of actually looking at our lives, the fulfillment that we get. For me, it's a much higher purpose that people need to get to. Now, obviously, your thing right now is Save Your Sports Tee. If people want to check it out, I'd like them to be able to go and do that. Tell them where the best place is for that, and where they can pick up some information.
Yeah, so our website is www.saveyourtea.com. Our social media accounts are all Save Your Tea. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're in Selfridges. We're about to launch in Holland Barrett. You'll find us in the likes of Equinox Gym. But we have a pretty solid online presence. So if you did want to get hold of any of the tea, or learn about the brand, or my values for life, or anything like that, or even if anything I've said today that has resonated with you, our email address is on the website, contact@saveyourtea.com. So yeah, I mean that's the place to find us. Our internet presence is probably the best place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
People, if you've been interested by what Ollie said, by all means reach out to him. Have a look at the company. I've tried the teas. I think they are fantastic. Really good. It's nice that you can kind of reuse the bag a bit as well. They are very, very high quality tea bags. So just check them out. I'm a big fan of tea. I'm not a fan of tea anymore with kind of like milk in it. I love clean, fresh teas, especially stuff like white tea, Rooibos tea, like all that. I love it. It's just so nice and hydrating, and you don't have to have the caffeine all the time, which is perfect. Now, if you've enjoyed the show, please, like ever, share it online. Share it with someone that you think could do with this kind of information. Tag them into the Facebook post. Tag me and Save Your Tea into a tweet. Let us know what you think of the show. Ring us a tweet. Say, hey, listen to the show. Thought it was really cool. Ask us a question. That's what we're here for. And Twitter is a fantastic place to do that, or when it gets posted up on Facebook. But I will see you on the show, hopefully with Rachel. If not, it will be with me and a guest again. She might be chilling on Vegas still. I don't know. Anyway, Ollie, thank you very much for being on the show. You've been a legend.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
And I will see all you lot very, very soon. Hey everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode number 159. We are back on the show with those crazy guys from America. Well, one guy, not, they. I say that because we've dropped a lot of jokes about Americans in the past on the podcast, those silly accents and all. But anyway, I have an incredible guy today.